At exactly 3:17 p.m., everything stopped. Not slowed, not frozen, stopped. Cars hung motionless in the streets, birds locked mid-flight, even the air refused to move. But you were still breathing, still thinking, still alive. You tried to move forward. But the world pushed back like solid glass, and that's when you realized time hasn't stopped for you. It had stopped for everything else. At first, it felt impossible to understand. Your body moved normally, but the world resisted you. Every step forward felt like pushing through something invisible, something dense, unmoving, absolute. Your muscles strained against nothing you could see, friction without contact, resistance without substance. You reached out, slowly, carefully. Your hand touched the air in front of you and stopped, not because you chose to stop, but because something was there, an unseen barrier, thin but absolute. You tried again, harder this time, the same result. The world had become solid, and you were the only thing still moving inside it. The sound was gone, not quiet, not silent, but completely absent. Your footsteps made no noise, your breath echoed nowhere, even your own voice disappeared. You shouted, nothing came back, no vibration, no reflection. It was as if sound itself had been erased. Air molecules no longer carried pressure waves. No compression, no expansion, no transmission. The physics of sound had collapsed completely. You looked around again. People stood frozen mid-action. A man reached for his phone. A child laughing, forever suspended. Expressions locked in time, moments that would never complete. You walked closer, slowly, studying the details. Every strand of hair, every blink, frozen perfectly in place. And then you noticed something worse. Their eyes, still open, still focused, but completely empty, not paused, not waiting, gone. Whatever had stopped time had taken something with it. Consciousness had no frame to continue. Neural signals required time, and time no longer existed. You tried to move one of them, your hand pressed against their arm, but it wouldn't budge. Not even a millimeter. It wasn't resistance. It was permanent. The world wasn't paused. It was locked. Chemical reactions had halted completely. Atoms remained fixed within rigid positions. Entropy itself had stopped progressing forward. You turned away. Your breathing quickened, though you couldn't hear it. Your heart raced, though you couldn't feel its rhythm properly. Blood flow had no measurable passage. Biology depended on sequence, and sequence had stopped. Something was wrong. Not just with the world, with you, because you were still moving, still thinking, still aware, but nothing around you responded. Time had abandoned everything else and left you behind. At first, curiosity took over. You explored, moved through streets that no longer functioned, opened doors that should have resisted. Electric systems held frozen currents in place, circuits locked mid-flow, never completing signals. Digital networks froze mid-calculation. Satellites hung silent above the planet. You became something impossible, a witness to a world outside of time. But that feeling didn't last, because the longer you moved, the more something began to change. Not in the world, in you. Your movement started to feel heavier, slower, more difficult, not physically, something deeper. Your thoughts began to stretch. Moments felt longer, then longer again. Seconds stopped behaving like seconds. Time wasn't just frozen outside, it was breaking inside you too. Your perception lost all reference points. Duration became meaningless. You tried to count 1, 2, 3, but the rhythm collapsed. There was no reference anymore, no passing moments, no sequence, just existence, without progression. You realize something terrifying. Without time, there is no change. Without change, there is no future. And without a future, there is no escape. You were not just alone. You were trapped in a world where nothing could move forward, including you. At some point, you stopped trying to explore. There was nowhere to go, nothing to discover. Every direction led to the same stillness, the same emptiness. Ecosystems had frozen mid-cycle, predators locked inches from prey, plants suspended in incomplete growth. Photosynthesis halted beneath unmoving sunlight. Oceans held waves frozen in rising motion, currents locked beneath the surface. And slowly, very slowly, your own movement began to fade, not instantly, not suddenly, but gradually, like something catching up to you, or pulling you back. Your steps became harder to take, your thoughts harder to form. As if time itself, it was reclaiming you. You tried to fight it, forced yourself forward, forced yourself to stay aware, but the world was stronger, because whatever had stopped time was never meant to leave anything behind, not even you. And in the final moments, as your thoughts began to slow, as your movement faded, you understood the truth. You stopped moving, not because you chose to, but because there was nowhere left to go. The stillness around you no longer felt external. It was creeping inward. Your thoughts began to slow, not fading, but stretching. Each idea taking longer to form, longer to disappear. You tried to remember what time felt like, the rhythm of seconds, the certainty that something always comes next. But that certainty was gone. There was no next, only a single and endless moment. Your body remained upright, frozen between motion and stillness, not fully part of the world, but no longer separate from it either. And in that space, between movement and silence, you began to understand something deeper. Time isn't just what moves the world. It's what allows anything to change. Without it, nothing begins, nothing ends, nothing becomes anything else. And without change, even existence starts to lose meaning. You weren't just trapped in a frozen world, you were trapped in a reality that could no longer move forward. Time didn't stop. You were just the last thing, waiting to be taken with it.
I'll be back.